Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Katie, the Introverted Reader, and today's video was kind of like a spur of the moment type thing, and so spur of the moment, I forgot my water bottle. We mustn't forget. Forgot my water bottle, so in light of that, we'll hydrate. Hydrate right now. Cheers. That's how you know it's real life, people. So yes, I hope you're well and hydrated. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good and safe Halloween, whatever it is that you did. So I'm here today to talk to you about books that I would sell my soul to read over again for the first time. Now, sell my soul is a little bit dramatic, but I definitely would love to have that like first-hand excitement again, you know, when it comes to reading books for the first time. So I have a mixture here, quite a lot. A lot of these books obviously favorites of mine, and a lot of them like mean a lot to me personally. So starting with Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kann. I love and adore this. I actually started annotating it and tabbing it, but I got so into it that I just forgot. But I love this. I absolutely love this. Okay, so this is a story about this girl called Alice. Is her name Alice? Yes. And it's basically a story about her coming to terms with the fact that she's asexual. And y'all, I read this and I felt so seen. And it was through reading this book and another one that I'm going to mention in a minute, that I fully realized my asexuality. Because I saw myself in this person. I resonated with this person, and I actually like highlighted so much in here. Like, hold on. I'm trying to see if I can, the words "I'm asexual" knocked around Alice's head. She knew she was, had known it for some time. She had also hoped she could wiggle her life around that truth like it didn't matter or would never come up. Me. like the way I, you know, just kept just like, and it said, and also this here, sex, Alice had decided, was like jogging. All the people in the world could say it's so amazing and great for you, but if you don't care about jogging, you'd rather spend your time with a Netflix queue and a box of donuts. Orgasms, Alice had decided, was like stretching after exercising. It felt amazing in the moment, but who really thought about that perfect stretch 2 hours later? She certainly didn't. Like, the way I felt seen in nearly every single sentence of this. I need to read more of Claire Kann's work, honestly. Like, I keep meaning to, but I keep forgetting because there's so many other books on my shelf, and I'm definitely going to reread this again in the future, but to have that first-hand experience again would just be magical. But yeah, I love this, you know, and you know, she breaks up with her girlfriend because her girlfriend doesn't really fully support her being asexual, and then she meets this guy, and then it just all goes from there. And like, read this book, oh my goodness. So we'll put her down there. The next one that really like saved me and helped me out in terms of my, you know, sexuality was Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. Oh my goodness. Like, Simon's story, obviously Simon, obviously you know what this story is about by now, surely. Simon, and he knows that he's gay, but he's in the closet. And you know, and he has this like secret email relationship going on with this other boy who he knows goes to his school, but they don't know each other because they go by synonyms, obviously, you know, with email and stuff. And you know, it's basically just all about him having this relationship, and Blue is the only one that really knows that he is gay. And you know, he hasn't come out to his friends, he hasn't come out to his family, and it's really just his coming out story at the end of the day. He actually gets outed against his will, which is really sad to read about, but especially now, these past few days, something like that is really hard to read about. But like, the way this book, just like, I went to go and see the movie as well, and I have a movie review of it on my channel somewhere where I'm crying talking about it. And because I went to go and see it, and then immediately when I got home from the movies, I set up the camera and started recording, and by the end of that video I was crying. So there's that. But like, the way that like I like, I'm not a gay person, but like I resonate with Simon on so many levels. Like, see these two books right here. These two books right here, I don't think I would be able to sit here and say, yes, I'm asexual, and that's okay, without having read these and reading about these characters and these stories and being able to resonate with that, you know, just, yeah. I love these. They're very important to me. So to be able to go back and have that first-hand experience again reading those would just be amazing. Anyway, moving right along. Another book I would love to read again for the very first time is The Captive Prince trilogy by C.S. Pacat. I can't remember who recommended this to me. It might have been my cousin. I can't remember, but I remember hearing a lot about this book, this trilogy in general, and people always talk about how like problematic and stuff it is, and like I get that there is a lot of trigger warnings in here, but to say it's problematic, I would have to disagree with. Like, there is a lot of trigger warnings, yes, and be wary of those before you go in, because I feel like a lot of people that say that aren't aware of those. So be aware of that before you read this, because it's about this prince who is basically betrayed by his half-brother or his stepbrother. Anyway, a member of his family betrays him, and he is sent to go, he is basically taken prisoner to the neighboring kingdom to be a sex slave, basically. And that's basically what it's about. And it's just... And beautiful, manipulative, and deadly, his new master, Prince Laurent, epitomizes the worst of the court at Viera. So, and in the core of it all, it is a love story between these two. But yeah, obviously there is a lot of heavy material in here, so be aware of that before you go in. But like, to read this again, to like have that firsthand, like, would be a great time. I do definitely want to reread this sometime. Like, the pages have gone yellow. Like, look at that. But like, to be able to read this again for the very first time, because it was such a wild ride, this whole trilogy, and I loved it. I loved it, and I would love to have, you know, to be able to reread it again for the first time, you know, memory wipe, and then hand me the book and be all like, oh, would love that. Another one, City of Brass by C.S. Chakraborty. I adored this. Like, I had this sitting on my shelf for a minute. I was sleeping on this for a minute. And the fact that I left it for, but like, on the one hand, I go down on myself for not reading this sooner, but then on the other hand, I'm happy that I read it when I did, because I think I read this first one, was it during 2020 that I read this for the first time, and immediately I just got sucked in, and like I know I'm gonna love a book when I genuinely can't stop reading it. Like, I remember not being able to bring myself to hit pause on the audiobook for this because it was so good. So it's basically about our main character called Nari, and she lives in Cairo, and she kind of makes her living as a con artist. And unbeknownst to her, she does have magic. And one day she does this like magic ritual thing, and she accidentally sets loose an imprisoned Jinn warrior, and it's like, big whoops, didn't mean to do that. And you know, she meets him, and they end up going on this journey together, and then a whole bunch of stuff comes out, like a whole basically a whole world gets opened up before her that she never knew about. And, you know, things about her and where she came from, like, all just come out, and it's just amazing. It's so good. And I need to read the short story collections. Hopefully it'll be coming out in paperback soon. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to cave and get it in hardback. Like, I keep fanning myself with books because, like, I'm sweating. Why is it so warm? Anyway, I would love to be able to go back and reread this for the first time, because Lani Taylor says, dazzlingly magical and still utterly believable. Like, yes, like, wonderful, so good. And like, to read the whole trilogy again for the very first time would be wonderful and magical, because this series is wonderful and magical. Now, the next few that I would love to reread again for the first time are ones that I read when I was a teenager. So, the House of Night series. I read this series for the first time when I was 17 years old. A friend of mine bought me the first one for my birthday, because we were in sort of like our post-Twilight haze. And to be honest, if I could be perfectly honest, if I could go back and reread Twilight for the very first time, I genuinely would, because that, like, it was a moment, okay? And same with this. Like, I remember just being so enthralled with this series, and it was the first time I got to experience PC Cast's writing. Obviously, she co-wrote this with her daughter Kristen, but like, to have the experience of getting to know these characters and this world for the very first time would be wonderful, because it's about our girl Zoe, and she gets marked as a vampire, and then she ends up having to go to the House of Night, which is like a vampire high school, basically. And they go through this change. And if they, because see, the thing is, they don't know whether or not they're going to make it through the change to become a full-fledged vampire. They, you either make it through the change or you die. And it's like, well, I need to know. So, like, it's 12 books. It's long. Did it need to be as long? No. But like, I read this for the first time when I was 17. And I reread it again a couple of years later. And even though I don't really like Zoe all that much, I still would love to have the first-hand experience of reading it for the first time, because it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And speaking of PC Cast, Divine by Mistake by PC Cast. This is a solo novel of hers, which is so near and dear to my heart. Like, I have read this maybe 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. And to be able to go back, to have my memory wiped, and for someone to hand me this book and for me to read it for the very first time over again would be like, this book is the one that inspired me to start writing my own stories. Like, without this book and without this author's writing, I would not consider myself the writer that I am today, even though I hardly write. But still, like, this story, okay, so it's about this woman called Shannon Parker. She's 35 years old, and she goes to this auction, and she spots this mysterious looking urn, and something about it draws her in, and she ends up bringing it home, but then it ends up being a conduit to another world. So she gets transported to another world, and she's like, wait, so she's like, what the hell? And it's just like, it's so much fun. And it's a fantasy romance as well. It's fantasy and it's a romance, and there is some hot and steamy stuff in here. So be over the age of 18 if you decide to read it. But like, I love this so much. I love this so much. Like, maybe I was too young to read it at the time when I did for the first time, but like, to have my memory wiped now and to reread it again now would be, ugh. And another one, well, I lifted City of Bones, but like, just to reread over again the Shadowhunter books for the first time would just be phenomenal. Like, again, I read this series the first time when I was a teenager, and I just saw the word vampires on the back and was like, I'll read that. And these characters, like the way Jace Whalen has snuck his way into my heart, and he just lives there now, just rent free. Like, Jace Whalen, Magnus Bane, Will Herondale, and now James Herondale, like all of the Herondales, and like, just, I just love this world so much, and to experience it for the very first time with a fresh mind would be just wow. I would love that. Anyway, a couple more. Some of these relatively new, but one, I'm looking at it and I'm like, these are probably so done with me talking about this book, but Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. Look at all the tabs in here. Look at all the tabs. Like, oh my goodness. This is the Alcrate exclusive, by the way. It has sprayed edges and it's signed. I obviously got it in Alcrate years ago, but I picked this up to be a book club pick for us a couple of years ago. And why is the writing backwards? Is that writing backwards or just me? But like, all I knew was that it was like an Anastasia like retelling, but set in space with like space pirates. And literally, like with a lot of these books, as soon as I started it, I genuinely could not put it down. Like, I loved and adored this so much. Like, the sprayed edges are actually starting to fade. You see that? But like, I actually do really want to reread this again, but obviously to have that experience of reading it for the first time. But like, you guys know how much I go on and on about this. It's so good. Like, the characters in here, like Jax. You just need to know about Jax. He's amazing. I freaking love him. Like, I love it so much. And I'm sad that it's only a duology. Like, it's this and Soul of Stars. This wonder, like, look at all those tabs. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I would definitely love to go back and reread this again. I'm sad it's only a duology. I definitely would have read 6 more books with set within this world, but it's so good. So good. And to have the excitement over again of reading it for the first time. Same with this. Like, I buddy read this with Amy over book 2 with Amy, and I had no idea what to expect from this, but to just have those emotions over again of reading this for the first time. You know, obviously I was feeling a lot of sadness myself, but like, to read this and to just feel every word and just, oh, TJ Klune, you know what to do with me. Literally any TJ Klune book that I've ever read, to be able to have to, like, for someone to wipe my memory and hand me this so I could read it over again with a fresh mind. Like, could you imagine? Like, just crying all over again, especially for this one. Strange the Dreamer. Again, one of those books that I just remember just not being able to put down, and like, to experience this magical world again, to read about Laszlo again. Like, I love and adore Laszlo Strange with my whole heart. I want to protect him with my life. And to read his story over again and all the other characters in here, and to just feel everything again fresh, you know, like, I'm definitely gonna reread this again at some point, but like, having that first-hand excitement over again would, you're probably done hearing me talk about this one as well, but like, the roller coaster I went on reading this for the first time, I would love to experience it all over again. Like, I definitely feel like I could reread this over again, but like, like, reading this, I remember for the first time, like, out loud, certain parts of this book being like, what? No, 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 and like, getting up and pacing up and down the room. I haven't done that in years. Like, I've had books that I've loved and adored, obviously, but this one took me on a ride, and to experience that again, fresh for the first time, oh, I would gladly sell my soul for, like, so good. And if I haven't persuaded any of you to read this, I haven't done my job. I may as well just delete my channel and get out of here. Like, oh my gosh. And the last one that I would love to experience reading for the first time is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. Honestly, this is the Fairy Loot edition that I got. I have a full unboxing of these on my channel if you want to go and watch it, but like, to experience this world for the first time, like, I have the paperbacks out there. I got them as a wee box set from Book Depository. They were really cheap, and I remember looking at them and thinking, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy these. I bet you anything I'll start reading the first one and want a DNF, and this was a waste of money, but like, I was sorely mistaken. I read the entirety of this trilogy, right? Where is it? So this and Unravel Me and Ignite Me, like, binge read those within the space of 5 days. Like, screaming, crying, hollering, not being able to like think about anything else. Like, this, along with all these other ones, like, it's, if a book is stuck in my head for ages and I can't think about it, or I don't want to read anything else apart from that, then it's done its job. Congrats, all you amazing authors, you've done your job. Like, and the latter trilogy as well. Like, I know the latter trilogy within this world, not everybody likes, but I love it. I love it. And to have Warner introduced to me for the first time fresh again, like, I know that I love him, but if I had my memory wiped and someone introduced me to him again for the first time, if I read this book and saw his name again, I'd be like, although I could do without Adam, but still, I love this, and I'm definitely going to read this again at some point, because I'm going to reread a lot of these again sometime in the future. But anyway, those are all the books that I would gladly sell my soul to reread again for the first time, because they're so special to me. The same with any Simon James Green, which is all up there. But yeah, I love every single one of these books. Let me know in the comments section down below what books you would gladly reread again for the first time. And yeah, I've kept this long enough. All my socials down below as always. Subscribe if you're new, and stay hydrated. And I'll see you in my next video, which will be on Tuesday. So I'll see you then.